Good morning. I'm Allison Kendall, your worship associate for today's Mother's Day service at the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. Today, May 10th, 2020. May is an intense month for me and my family, with my birthday early in the month followed immediately by Mother's Day. The COVID-19 stay-at-home order has meant that a long-planned trip with my sister to see my mother was canceled, and for the last 2 months, she's received no outside visits at her memory care center in Arizona. The only way I'm able to stay in touch with her is through a weekly Skype call. As you can imagine, Skyping with someone who has advanced Alzheimer's disease is a bit challenging. My mother can no longer talk or converse, but she's definitely interested to hear my voice and see my face on the iPad one of the caregivers set up for us to talk. She leans forward, reaches out towards me, or rather the iPad, and often disconnects the video when she touches the screen. Yet this week I was able to summon 7 smiles from her as I talked about her years of early motherhood in Canada. She had just moved from Australia, and being cooped up all winter with 2 infants in diapers must have been miserable. Everyone asks me whether my mother still recognizes me, as if once she cannot, she's not really there anymore, and my dutiful visits and Skype sessions are all in vain. Seeing the caregivers at her memory care center, I know this is not the point. She is absolutely there, and the connection we feel is real, whether or not she remembers my name or even that I'm her daughter. This weekend, I got the best Mother's Day present I can imagine. My daughter Jessie drove down to see me for my birthday and Mother's Day. She had written me earlier, explaining that she felt unsure if she should come, as despite our lack of symptoms on both sides, it meant a small risk of spreading COVID-19. I was so overjoyed when I saw her at the door. She stayed 6 feet apart from us during our visit, and we ate together outside on the patio. We didn't hug hello or goodbye. Instead, I resorted to mime as I tried to express just how full of love I felt when I saw her and how grateful I was for her visit. However we choose to express our love, with or without words, visits, and hugs, I hope that this Mother's Day we remember to find a way and to know it may be the only real thing in this totally unreal, unbearable reality. Thank you and happy Mother's Day. I light the chalice today with these words by Frederick E. Gillis. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated. Be in us and among us, now and always.
Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles joined to circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles joined to circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles joined to circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles joined to circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles joined to circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles since time began. Since time began. Mothers of daughters are daughters of mothers, and have remained so in circles joined to circles since time began. Since time began. Since time began.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers and mothering souls joining us for worship this morning. Welcome to our beloved community, the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Santa Monica. Special welcome if this is your first time joining us for Sunday morning worship. We are glad to be with you. I'm Reverend Jeremiah Kalendae, and this service is co-created with Worship Associate Allison Kendall, Director of Music Sonder Choi, Director of Religious Exploration Cleo Anderson, and our pianist Ryan Humphrey. Our soprano and alto choir members are also joining us for worship this morning. Unitarian Universalism is guided by principles that affirm the worth and dignity of every person and encourage an individual search for truth and meaning. We honor the mystery and wonder of our lives and affirm that we are all connected to one another and to that great interdependent web of being. Our tradition arises from scripture and science, nature and philosophy, personal experience and ancient traditions. We are a welcoming community, inclusive of people of all gender identities, sexual orientations, racial and ethnic identities, and social locations. We invite you to join us in creating this beloved community we share with each other and with our world.
Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, where are drops are in the ocean deep and wide. Sunlight bounces off the ripples to the sky. What to give you, what to call you, who am I? I am empty, time flies from me, what is time? Dreams eternal, fears infernal haunt my heart. What to give you, what to call you, oh my God. Mother Spirit, Father Spirit, take our hearts, take our breath and let our voices sing our parts. Take our hands and let us work to shape our heart.
Please join me in reciting the covenant of this church. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land by every tongue.
Good morning. So today is Mother's Day. Now, when we think about mothers, a lot of us probably think of the person who gives us a Band-Aid when we skin our knee, or sends us care packages when we're in our dorms at college, or for some of us, maybe it's the person who's in the grave that we visit at a cemetery. But did you know that some cities have mothers? Take New Orleans, for example. Now, New Orleans is a city that's made of darkness and secrets and heat and flavor and magic. Now, the mothers of New Orleans are two of the many Loa or Ged or pantheon of goddesses and gods that protect New Orleans. Now, these Ged, if you will, come from all sorts of religions that meet in New Orleans. Some are Haitian, some are Louisiana voodoo, some are Caribbean, some are uniquely African American voodoo, but two that tend to show up across all of these religions are Maman Gagit and Mami Wata. Now, these two mothers of New Orleans come in particularly handy when discussing Hurricane Katrina. Now, Hurricane Katrina was nothing new for the city of New Orleans. Hurricanes have been hitting New Orleans since before New Orleans was New Orleans. But this time, the levee, man-made mountains of earth and concrete that kept Lake Pontchartrain at bay, broke. And the city, but specifically the lower 9th Ward, one of the poorest parts of the city, flooded. And I mean biblical floods. And in that time, mothers did their best to take care of children, and sometimes it meant climbing to the attic of a home where the first and second and sometimes third floor were flooded and hoping for the best. Sometimes it was punching or cutting out the roof as the attic flooded and pushing your children onto a roof. But that's where Mommy Wata comes into play, you see. There are many women in New Orleans who cannot swim, but stories of mothers who kept children afloat on rafts and boards and old boats began to pour in. And that was Mommy Wata, because water is her realm. There were mothers who saw nothing around them but chaos and disaster, but made it through, and people said it was Mommy Wata. There were people who walked through streets that should have been flooded, exits that should not have been there, and they said it was Mommy Wata holding the waters at bay for survivors. Mommy Wata was just not in the water. She was taking care of all of her children who'd been put in the water. Well, and then, unfortunately, Mommy Wata could not save everyone. There were not enough boats. Some say there were not enough mothers. Some say humanity just outstriped divinity that day, that week, those following weeks, and what happened was not everyone survived. And many of them could not be identified. Families had been moved all across the country. Dallas, Austin, some as far up as Chicago and Detroit. Some families never came back. And this is where Maman Brigitte comes in. Now she is the patron goddess of life, death, justice, and motherhood. And so, when mothers could not lay their children out in their Sunday best to be memorialized, they say that Maman Brigitte did. She made sure that every child, and everyone is someone's child, was dressed in their finest, had the right words said, and were ready when they met Papa Legba to go through the veil. They said that she ventured out for maybe the first time in Louisiana history to places like Dallas, where the trail of children who could not go home to their mothers went, and she nurtured and held them and carried their spirits to the crossroads, to the veil, to Papa Legba, to wherever they needed to be, even when their own mothers could not. Maman Brigitte mothered. And so when you think about your city, who do you think is the mother of your city? Does your city have a Maman Brigitte to carry the nameless, faceless children and hold them? Do you have a Mommy Wata who will save you, who will hold you, who will push you through? Who are the mothers? Maybe aren't the Band-Aid appliers, but are the saviors nonetheless.
One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us, and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word. One more prayer, we will say one more prayer, till every prayer is shared by everyone. We'll say one more prayer. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song.
Our mindfulness prayer this morning is Honoring the Deeper Voices by the Reverend Evan Carmichael-Zimer. Spirit of life, today the advertising tells us what to buy for mom. Instead, help us to listen and honor the deeper voices. Today, let us honor all those who have made this world possible for us. Those who did the hard work of building a better world for future generations. Today, let us honor the grief of those who have lost children through miscarriage, stillbirth, death, those who long for children and those for whatever reason cannot be in touch with their children this day. Let us honor the grief of those who mourn for their parents, whether separated by death, dementia, or disconnection. Today, let us honor those who fill in for missing mothering, fathers, grandparents, foster parents, aunts and uncles, and more. Today, let us honor the ways we have each been nurtured and mothered, by the mothers who gave birth to us, by the parents who raised us, by those many others who supported and nurtured us of all genders. Today, let us honor those who survived damaging and traumatic mothering. Spirit of life, help them to heal. Let us remember that not every mother is ready for her children. Let us turn aside from the myths of motherhood on a pedestal and remember each parent is an imperfect human in need of more support than adulation, in need of our support. Today, let us honor those who are doing the hard work of nurturing, striving to meet not only physical needs, but the many deep and complicated emotional and spiritual needs. Spirit of life, nurture and sustain them so that they may be the nurturers that are desired. Today, let us honor all the ways each of us give to tomorrow, knowing there are multiple paths of meaning and more than one way to birth the future. Today, with both joy and sorrow, let us be grateful for life, for the chance to love, for those who love us, and the opportunity to nurture the future. May it be so. Amen. Let us meditate now together in the silence. Blessed be. Motherhood is celebrated all around the globe in various ways. In many religious traditions, divinity is experienced most intimately as the great mother of being. I would like to invoke the power and presence of such experiences of divinity with verses from 3 of the world's great wisdom traditions. The opening verse of the Holy Quran in the Islamic tradition, the hymn to perfect wisdom from the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, and a simple hymn of praise to the great goddess of the Hindu tradition. Allow these beautiful invocations to call forth those mothering powers within yourself and within our world this Mother's Day. Bismillah Rahman Rahim. In the divine name, the infinitely compassionate, the tenderly merciful. Homage to thee, perfect wisdom, boundless and transcending thoughts. All thy being is without blemish, faultless those who thee discern, spotless, unobstructed, silent, like the vast expanse of space. Who in truth does really see thee, Tathagata, the Buddha, perceives? As the moonlight does not differ from the moon, so also thou who abounds in holy virtues and is the teacher of the world. The teachers of the world, the Buddhas, are thine own compassionate children. Then art thou, O blessed Lady, grandmother thus of beings all the immaculate perfections, at all times encircle thee as the stars are around the crescent. O thou purifying Holy One. Ya Devi, this goddess, Sarva Bhuteshu, in all things, Samshtita lives as mother. Namastasye Namo Namaha. We remember and honor you. The opening verse of the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the divine name, the infinitely compassionate and the tenderly merciful, revealed in the month of Ramadan many centuries ago. These verses open almost every chapter of the Quran and are the most fundamental invocations of Allah Azza wa Jal, God the Mighty and the Majestic, in Islamic tradition. Linguistically, they express a radiating light of compassion and a gentle embrace. The roots of the words are found in the feminine expressions, which mean to feel empathy and womb. Allah Azza wa Jal is experienced by many as the mother goddess of all the worlds. Feminist scholars have argued that it was only through the adulteration of patriarchy that the essence of the divine feminine was suppressed in this wisdom tradition. The hymn to perfect wisdom, or the Prajnaparamita Sutra from the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, invites us into the perfect emptiness of reality. When we move beyond name and form in this tradition through a process of negation, we arrive at the wisdom void, the source of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the source of all of the enlightened ones. This emptiness is imagined to be the mother of all of being and the source of wisdom for all those who follow the path of the Dharma. One might think of it as an expanse of consciousness without any of the obstructions of the mind or ego, and therefore also a perfect, embracing compassion. In the Hindu tradition, we find the only living tradition of the world's major religions in which the divine feminine wasn't systematically oppressed and erased. In Hinduism, the Great Mother Goddess is experienced as the unifying energy of reality and consciousness. She is often depicted as the goddess Durga riding a lion into battle, or the fierce Mother Kali, great warrior goddess who led the battle against injustice in the world and on cosmic planes in this tradition. Many of the sacred texts of the goddess tradition record these great battles and also serve as spiritual metaphors for the liberation of souls and the salvation of the world. In the Chandipata, one of the primary sacred texts of the goddess tradition in Hinduism, we find one of the foremost stories of the great goddess. In this story, the male gods of the tradition are engaged in a cosmic battle for existence with ferocious demons. The male gods find themselves unable to subdue the demonic forces who continue to wreak havoc and bloodshed across the universes. Having tried everything within their power, they finally decide to release their Shakti, their divine feminine energies that are within each of them. All of these feminine energies coalesce and they form the Great Mother. She is seated on a lotus flower, and her many arms are adorned with the instruments of war. The Chandipata depicts her in this way. She with the beautiful face, the destroyer of the great ego, is seated upon the lotus of peace. In her hands she holds the rosary of the alphabets, the battle axe of good intentions, the club of articulation, the arrow of speech, the thunderbolt of illumination, the lotus of peace, the bow of determination, the water pot of purification, the staff of discipline and energy, the sword of worship, the shield of faith, the conch of vibrations, the bell of love, the wine cup of joy, the pike of concentration, the net of unity, and the discus of revolving time. When the demons perceive the Great Mother Goddess, they begin to attack her. Unlike the male gods, however, the Great Mother begins to slay. Army after army attack her, and she almost effortlessly destroys them. In time, she restores harmony to the cosmos, and then returns her Shakti, that is divine feminine energies, to the male deities, and symbolically to the state of potentiality within everything. Recall the mantra from earlier. This goddess in all things lives as mother. To this day, she is invoked as the restoration of cosmic harmony, the protectress of the universes and the mother of all beings. In goddess temples around India, you will hear devotees chanting her sacred mantra of celebration, Jai Ma, victory is the mother's. May we hear the call of divine motherhood within our lives this Mother's Day. Let us remember the powerful women warriors of this cultural context who dared to challenge injustice, war, and death with their lives. Let us remember Anna Jarvis, who founded the Mother's Workday in Appalachia in 1858 to reduce infant mortality and improve public health. Let us remember Julia Ward Howe, the early feminist, suffragette, and social justice warrior who called for an anti-war Mother's Day for Peace in 1870. In the first issue of the Women's Journal, published that same year, she had reflected, "During the first two-thirds of my life, I looked to the masculine ideal of character as the only true one. I sought its inspiration and referred my merits and dismerits to its judicial verdict. The new domain now made clear to me was that of true womanhood. Woman no longer in her ancillary relation to her opposite, man, but in her direct relationship to divine plan and purpose, as a free agent, fully sharing with every man every human right and every human responsibility. This discovery was like the addition of a new continent on the map of the world, or of a new testament to the old ordinances. Let us remember all of those women and mothering souls who fought for a greater freedom for themselves, their families, their communities, and the world in which we now live. Let us remember the many forms that mothering takes in our society. Mamas, grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers, aunties, birth mothers, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, trans mothers, disabled mothers, drag mothers, mothers in war zones, addicted mothers, incarcerated mothers, sex-working mothers, trafficked mothers, mothers trapped in poverty, and those who mother despite all odds to our world. What greater tribute could we offer to divine motherhood than to cultivate motherhood within ourselves? Let us call to that great mother of being within and find the power to transform this world, which with such strength, perseverance, and fierce love. Amen, amen, blessed be, and Jai Ma, victory is the mother's.
We come together for more than ourselves. Today we share 50% of the offering with the Unitarian Universalist Association's COVID-19 Pandemic Response Fund. This fund will be used to provide financial assistance to UU congregations as well as religious professionals and staff impacted by this crisis. You can now text your donation from your smartphone. Text 844-982-0209 with the amount you'd like to donate and GCC in the body of your text. For example, 20 GCC. The first time you give, you'll be asked to register. The number again is 844-982-0209. If you have not yet provided a pledge of support for our church, you can provide a pledge via text as well. For example, 200 PLG. Please support our church community during this time of exceptional stress, loss, and financial uncertainty. Thank you for your generous support.
Lala mwanangu, usingizi mororo, kama pono, wa baharini. Usilie, mimi ni kando yako. Lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, wala usilie, mimi ni kando yako. Lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, usingizi usilie, mimi ni kando yako. Lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, wala usilie, mimi ni kando yako. Lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, lala mwanangu, nitakupatia joto, tulia ubavuni pangu, usione baridi tena. Mimi ni kando yako, nitakupatia joto, tulia ubavuni pangu, usione baridi tena. Mimi ni kando yako. Lala mwanangu, usingizi mororo, kama pono, wa baharini. Lady of the season's laughter, in the summer's warmth be near. When the winter follows after, teach our spirits not to fear. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning year. Sister of the evening starlight, in the falling shadows stay here among us till the far light of tomorrow's dawning ray. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning day. Mother of the generations, in whose love all life is worth, everlasting celebrations bring our labor safe to birth. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning earth. Goddess of all time's progression, stand with us when we engage, hands and hearts to end oppression, writing history's fairer page. Hold us in your steady mercy, Lady of the turning age.
Go in peace, hold fast to that which is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint of heart, support the weak, help the afflicted, honor all beings. Go forth into this Mother's Day and be blessed, and be a blessing.